Good morning. Not really. It's almost 3 p.m. and I have just woken up, and this is my life right now. Hopefully, not forever. Um, I'm tired, and my head still hurts. But just for shiggles, I figured, hey, let's go talk to the computer. And today I would like to talk about how I got where I am being, this. When I was in 7th grade, um, things got really rough for my family financially, and we moved to a new house, and I started riding the bus to school, and I started getting bullied on the bus. So I don't adjust well to change. And I obviously don't adjust well to bullying. And I felt out of control, and I was scared, and I didn't know what to do. And fortunately, I was a very, very naive 12-year-old. If I hadn't been, I would have killed myself. But two things happened. I made a very, very special friend named Matthew, who is unfortunately no longer with us. But he got me through the school days. And then I found a way to feel like I was in control of my life, which was binging and purging. And I did it for years. I did a lot of different kinds of purging. Very few of them throwing up, because let me just tell you, there is really nothing I hate more than throwing up. It was sneaking laxatives. I'd binge and then I'd starve myself, or I would exercise until I felt sick. I was really good at hiding both the binging and the purging. And I gained weight, but I was just a little bit chunky. I maintained pretty well. And as I got older, as soon as I started feeling out of control in my life, the cycle would start again. When I was 15, my whole family went on a diet, and we all lost all kinds of weight. And it was the healthiest I've ever been, and I wish I had known then what I know now. Because through that time, I was feeling in control and not having the urge to binge or purge. But also things were going fairly well for my family and at school. So there wasn't really any kind of turmoil to try and deal with. And then my mom got sick, as is kind of common when you lose a good deal of weight. She had to have her gallbladder out. And after the surgery, we all kind of just forgot. And we went back to eating the way that we used to eat and came back. So by the time I graduated high school, I was a size 18. And then I started my first job. And I had my own car and my own money. And I was in a new place, which was scary, but it was exciting. But I could eat what I wanted. Nobody had control over what I ate because I was buying my own food. Sometimes, not always, but if I wanted to stop at Taco Bell on the way home from work, I could. So I did. The second year after high school, I met a boy who, for reasons I will not go into, would never, ever, 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 ever love me, but I was head over heels. And suddenly it was full purge mode all the time because I was eating very little and I was taking diet pills, and I got down to my lowest weight ever, and I looked awesome. I looked terrific. I liked how I looked. And the day came when I realized said boy would never love me. And I started eating. And somewhere something broke. And the purge cycle was over. So it was just binge. Binge, 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 binge. And it wasn't a constant binge, but it was still my go-to whenever things would get bad. And then no purge, balancing it out. So years later, here I am. I am 36 and I weigh over 300 pounds. My weight has more than doubled since the days when I was at my best. I'm not proud of it. I'm not happy about it. The worst of it is that a little over 10 years ago, I've never had a great relationship with my father, just understand that, and that a little over 10 years ago, it really fell apart. And I didn't... Yay, allergies! I was having an emotional moment, but okay. That actually hurt a little bit. Alright, let me try that again. Things really fell apart with my father. And I was unemployed, and he was... and now I have a text message, which I will get to in a minute. It's like everything is working together to distract me from this story that I'm kind of scared to tell. Alright, so I was unemployed. I had been living with some friends, and none of us really had great credit, and we were looking for a new apartment, and it wasn't working out. This was in the wake of 9/11, and things were just kind of bad all over. And my dad said, hey, why don't you come move in with me until you can get back on your feet financially? So I did. And I spent 3 months looking for a job unsuccessfully, with my father charging me rent when I didn't have a job, and not helping with groceries when I didn't have a job. That was his way of encouraging me to look harder. And also just being a hateful, awful person. And I reached Christmas time of that year and started making plans to kill myself. I had a bottle of migraine medication called Midrin, which is no longer being sold. But it is a narcotic. And I had decided I was going to wait until after Christmas because I didn't want to ruin everybody's Christmas. It's like, well, let's pick a date. And I said, well, let's not do New Year's. Let's just wait until after the holidays. So I decided on January 7th. That was the day I was going to do it. And then on January 6th, I got a phone call offering me a job. Saved my life. It took a while, but I managed to get out of my father's place. I ended up moving into a trailer in the middle of Cracktown just to get away from him. And he got more aggressive and more hateful. And it got worse as he got involved with a woman who was just not kind in any way. It was just a really bad situation. So of course, every time I would have an encounter with my father, it would lead to a massive binge. And I'm talking about the worst one. I ate an entire large pizza, about 3/4 of a chocolate cream pie, and a box of taquitos, and a cheesecake? No, not a cheesecake. A cheese coffee cake. Those Edmonds ones. They're really tasty. And that was in the course of an evening into the late night. It went on for hours. And then continued the rest of the evening with lots of awful things that I shouldn't have been putting in my body. But I weighed 220 pounds when I moved into that trailer. And over a fairly short amount of time, gained 100 pounds. But then the day came when I was able to tell my father to get out of my life. And it was a good day. And it was also a bad day. He still occasionally sticks his head up and doesn't really understand the concept of leave me alone. You're not part of my life. He's just a wretched man. But since the day that I said, you're not in my life anymore, my weight has fluctuated, but I've never really gotten past my maximum weight. So obviously there's catalyst there. I still binge. I do. Just not like I did when he was in my life. Best part is that he tried to tell me that I didn't have an eating disorder and that I was, quote, making it up to add more drama. Like I needed more drama. Despite the fact that I actually have a diagnosis from a psychiatrist. Sure. And there are people who will say there's no such thing as a binge disorder, that you just need to stop eating. It's not true. Sometimes you don't even know that you're eating. You just go into a haze and you just start shoving food in your face and you don't realize what's happened until you're sitting there with the empty box of donuts and crying because you should have stopped yourself. Actually had a therapist once who was like, well, next time you start a binge, just do something else. Like, the definition of binge for me is that I don't know when I'm starting it, and it just happens. Not currently in therapy, and I need to get back to that. I'm trying. It's not as easy as I thought it would be. I guess there was a part of me that thought, I'm going to make a decision and I'm just going to be better. And it's not that easy, because there's depression, and there's some major self-esteem stuff, and fear. I've been huge for so long that it's part of my identity. I don't know who I am. If I'm not the fat funny friend, who am I? So I don't know. I don't know what's next. But I do know, as far as what's next immediately, is I'm going to go downstairs and I'm going to make myself a cup of tea, and I am possibly going to watch some cartoons and answer that text message. And tomorrow or the day after, I will tell you a happy story that will hopefully make up for how very depressing all of this was. And on that note, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.